Hey everyone, Patrick Kelly here.
Hey everybody, Hans Finzel.
Thanks for joining. We are here on episode 3, Help, I'm a Workaholic. We're sheltered in our homes during the COVID crisis. So Hans and I are delivering as promised, right? Every single day, weekday at 1:30, and we're not going to say the other times, at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today we are going over Help, I'm a Workaholic. So thank you everybody joining. Thank you everybody who has been downloading the book, sharing it on our social media platforms. We appreciate you, and thanks for being here today.
Yeah, in case this is your first time, we are going to tell you at the end how you can get a free ebook of our book, Millennial Boom. So this is the third of our e-training series that we're doing for free. Today's Friday. We'll skip the weekend and recover, and then next week we'll be on every day, Monday through Friday. Right, Patrick?
Monday through Friday. Through Friday. Hey, real quick. So shout out to 2 people on YouTube. Mint, thanks for the likes and thanks for the comments yesterday, guys. We got more coming for you, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, and about half of, we've given away almost half of the 100 free books, so we still have some free books for folks to grab, and we'll tell you about how to get that at the end. And plus, it's posted on our Facebook group, right?
Yep, it is.
And on my Facebook page and on your Facebook page. But chapter 2 is called Help, I'm a Workaholic. And we start the chapter with this quote: the 10 words you won't say on your deathbed.
Ooh, tell me.
If only I had spent more time at the office.
Man.
Nobody says that. Nah.
Nobody says that.
What do they say? What do they say? Well, man, I wish I'd spent more time with my family. I wish I'd spent more time with my loved ones.
Correct. Not at the office. Maybe more time at the beach.
Because I really didn't need more money and more things and more stuff. You know, when you're at the end, you're probably thinking about your loved ones.
Yeah.
In fact, during this virus, one of the most heartbreaking things are the people that are dying and the family members can't be there with them at their deathbed, nor can they have funerals. And it's just like tragic, because at that time you want to be with your loved ones. So workaholics kind of ignore that principle until it's almost too late. So the 10 things you don't want to say on your deathbed, you will not say. The 10 words is, I wish I'd spent more time at the office. So I want to talk, we're going to talk about the difference between baby boomer workplaces and millennial workplaces in the sense of design. Like, and I talk in this chapter about the fact that I built a building. It's been 25 years ago, but here's a picture of this beautiful 50,000 square foot building that I built here in Littleton, Colorado, and it was a baby boomer building. And the things I learned later, I would have built the building completely differently. We're going to talk about that. But on page,
and I remember too, Hans, when I came and visited you, you went and took me to the building. You showed me. You were like, I got to show you the building.
Oh,
you were so proud of it. You were very proud of it then.
So proud of that building. My wife, Donna, said I had a 50,000 square foot baby. Probably the closest, other than, as you know, writing a book is also like the closest I always say that a man ever comes to having a baby is writing a book and then launching it out to the world and see if people are going to love it or not.
Oh, geez. It makes perfect sense, though. Makes perfect sense.
So here's the characteristics on page 41 of a baby boomer building. The thing is, a lot of you are still working in places that were built by baby boomers and that are run by baby boomers. So here's the characteristics. My office shows my status: quiet, white walls, barriers, doors, private offices, structure, hierarchy, no hallway talk. You move from point A to point B. You move through the building with purpose. No loitering.
No,
no hanging around the water cooler. And and then invisible management. So Patrick, why don't you tell them about the difference I remember when I got to know you and I went to your house for the first time, you've always tend to work out of your house, right?
Correct.
You had some offices, but the chaos at your office, at your house. I remember in Exeter, California, you're working on your laptop on your couch. You got a huge big screen TV with a movie playing. You got your little babies on your lap. Your buddy is there. It was crazy. Tell us about millennial workplaces.
I would say millennials have the sense of working in a free environment. And as I say, work is not somewhere you go, it's something you do. So for millennials, I would say, and I'm not going to generalize because everybody has their own specific preference, right? When we talk about generalizations, but what we talk about in the book is the characteristics of a millennial workplace, right? So stand-up desks, which I have currently, cubicles, except now they're getting away from cubicles and more doing sectionized desks, which I've seen are a lot better than having that large cubicle, still in a cubicle setting, but in sectionized desk. A little bit of noise, chaos, multiple TVs. I would say a lot of people now are switching, having personal devices that have Netflix on it. They'll have their ear pods in, watching something on their phone while typing on the computer, music playing. There's always food. Video games now are becoming a part of the break rooms, and also art, posters, small coffee bars. I've noticed in my co-work spaces, right, where you can visit little co-working spaces, there are mini coffee bars throughout the entire place. That's accessible, right? It's great. And then a lot, as you said, no one's hanging around the water hole, as the baby boomers say, because there's so many different stations to be able to be agile and they're able to adapt and pivot, right? So that's kind of the ideal millennial workplace.
This whole virus situation is changing the workplace forever. I was just on a conference call this morning with, I'm on the board of trustees of Columbia International University in South Carolina. Shout out to all my friends out there in South Carolina. And we're talking about how what's happening now, like being driven to education at home and online college education is going to trickle down to high school, junior high, because we also have a high school there on the campus. And some parents are saying, hey, I kind of like them not having to go to the building. Could we do this permanently? You remember how much discussion there's been over the last 10 years, baby boomers worrying that if I let my millennials telecommute, they won't work hard?
Yes.
Huge discussion.
Huge. And it was a discussion still a year ago.
And guess what? That discussion's over.
Don't you remember, I called you, and this is a little off topic, but this is a good story. I called you because I had a job interview at a time. And you said, what's it like? And I go, Hans, they want me to be there at 7 a.m. They were literally everything was papers. Everything was everything was there. So they didn't give out laptops. And I kind of was like, what do you think I should do? And remember we had that talk.
Oh my gosh. It was a paper castle.
Oh, it was horrible. So technology, even a year ago, was still talked about. And now today, everybody's moving over. But if you look at even the reports from Zoom right now, Zoom's flooded. They went from 2 million users in February of 2020 to 27 million in March. And what's crazy is productivity over attendance. The schools schools are using it as attendance, not productivity. They're making sure all the kids are showing up, making sure they're working. And then it's the parents' job to then teach, right, really the rest of the day at home. Teaching. Yep. My wife is a teacher, and she's not sitting there teaching for 8 hours. It's like an hour and a half and then teacher time. So, but we're going to talk about that in the great gulf of technology.
Yes, we are. But this has been a game changer, which there will be many permanent results. Of course, there's going to be financial damage, but there's going to be a lot of positivity that comes out of everybody going to work at home and learning how to telecommute, learning how to work by Zoom, because home businesses and working from home, the whole gig economy is the new frontier, right?
Yep, for sure.
So you boomers who are so uptight about the millennials not working hard from home, you got to get over it. You got to relax. And here's an exercise that I did. We'd been in our building for probably 15 years, and I love millennials. And I have 4 of my own, that Donna and I raised. And I just had this pizza lunch, and I talk about it in this chapter. One day I asked everybody under 30 to have pizza with the boss, and I wanted to pick their brains about our culture at our office, this beautiful office that I built. And so I told them, okay, you're having pizza with the CEO, and nothing you say today will be held against you in a court of law. And I said, I want your honest feedback. I got 3 butcher blocks. This is a fantastic exercise for you to do. Anybody who runs an office or runs a company. First question, what do you like about working here? Second question, what do you not like about working here? What kind of turns you off? And be honest. And the third, what suggestions would you have for improvement? Oh my gosh, it was a game changer for me. I'll just give you 2 examples. We had a rule you couldn't put anything on the office walls without management's permission.
Yep.
We got rid of that rule because I found out the younger people wanted to decorate their cubicles. They wanted to do all kinds of wild and crazy things with posters, like you mentioned, colors. So we obliterated that rule. We had a dress code, and I found
on the wall.
I like that. I know. Anyway, I learned I wanted to make the environment in our office appealing to millennials so they would want to come and work at our place. Yeah. Like they like working at Facebook and they like working at Google. I wanted to have that kind of environment. So it was a game changer for me. I learned a lot.
But, here's the question, though, as we start working toward this, these are all great ideas to understand your workforce, right? Understand passion within the work. But I'm thinking, what does this have to do with help? I'm a workaholic. And guess what?
Yeah.
Hans has a very interesting story because he is not your traditional baby boomer, everybody. Remember, he has convinced me that baby boomers are not all created equally. So, my question is, Hans, how did this baby boomer generation, though, become workaholics like my father is? That I'll tell a story about that. But how did the baby boomer generation compile into that? You were leading change. You were leading the millennials, but the rest of the world, even today as baby boomers, they still have that sense of workaholic in them.
Yeah, and that's the thing that is so weird. We baby boomers did not start out as workaholics. In the 1960s, when many of us came of age, we were the opposite. I was a hippie. I was rebellious. As we mentioned in yesterday's yesterday's show, that we were anti-establishment, extremely anti-materialism. And we went from, we wanted to make a difference. We wanted to change the world. We were against the Vietnam War. We were disillusioned with society and the Watergate scandal and the assassination of Kennedy. We went, though, something changed over the decades. We went from wanting to make a difference to wanting to make a buck. And we became obsessed with materialism and buying German cars and building beautiful homes and having vacation homes and sending our kids to the best schools. And I don't know why it happened, but it did happen.
Right.
Now, let me say it didn't happen to all of us. I had some professors in college and grad school that really ingrained in me the value of my marriage and my children, and to never sacrifice my career for them. And so, I don't know, I made a decision early on, and I told my board of directors when I was appointed CEO of this multinational organization that I had to travel all the time. I've been to 100 countries, and I said, I'll be your CEO, but I will not sacrifice my family for the success of this position. And they all agreed, and they said they'd support me in it. So we're not all workaholics.
That's true. Yeah.
I guess that's the bottom line. Not every baby boomer is a workaholic, but a lot of us are. Tell us this experience about your dad, if you don't mind, because I think I was kind of shocked at some of the stuff I heard from you about your dad.
No, my dad has always been a worker. So, my dad is an immigrant from Canada. He came down with his mother also into California in the early 70s or 60s. But it's interesting because he's had a very strong work ethic. So if you look at me, I talk about in the book as well, and we've chatted many times, I mean, I was working at a very young age. When I was living in Mount Dora, Florida, shout out to Mount Dora, Florida, Eustis, Florida. I graduated from Eustis High School. But, you know, if people knew me, they knew I always was working. I was mowing lawns. I was working. I used my brother's social security number to get a job as a dishwasher. I always was working. And I think to me, I saw my father working all the time. He was always gone. So when he came home, it was like he came home from work. This is what he was doing all the time. So I don't know. I kind of got that sense, even to myself, that I became this work was what you're supposed to do. But my dad was a true workaholic. He'd leave at 5 a.m. in the morning. He would come home 7 p.m., 8 o'clock at night. He would go directly to the TV, watch Frasier, watch Friends, watch his normal TV show, get back on the phone, right? He had the big cell phone back in the days. He would sit, right? No one could bother him. If you tried to talk to him any certain points, he was so consumed in his work that he did sacrifice his family. And he knows it because we talked about it to this day. He knows. But again, my dad barely graduated high school. He's an immigrant. So he worked his butt off to get where he is. My dad, the president of his own organization. He's ran for over 20 plus years. Very successful man. And I just believe, though, his mindset went a different way. And again, it all goes back to how he was raised as well. His father died at the age of 40 from cancer. Right? His brother died at the age of 18 from a drug overdose. His sister died from, I believe, a back problem like scoliosis when she was a baby. So those are things, right, that shapes everybody's lives. It shaped my father into this workaholic that money was success to him. Value of success was you getting the next position, getting the Range Rover, getting the Mercedes. Everything was about the value, the type. And I remember even growing up with my wife, Renee, we've been together since high school. She would used to tell me, she goes, oh my gosh, back then everything you did, you would quantify in money. You would say, my car's worth this much. Oh, my dad makes this much. And I think that sense of that workaholic just got instilled in him. And then I caught that right when I met you, of me having the generalization.
Now, the reason we wrote Millennial Boom is to help boomers and millennials work together in helping them thrive together in life and work. I had to remind myself what our subtitle was. But let me ask you, since we're trying to bridge understanding, and I just said not all baby boomers are workaholics. And to me, I define a workaholic that puts work in front of family and loved ones and balance in life. It's just all about work and all about success and all about making money. So how did your generation react to our baby boomer workaholism? That's my question.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that in marriage and family, of course. But it affected us that we more look at life as being a good parent, being a good person. We don't value, I would say, money as much over time, right? So our time value over money is way different. We might have a car, but guess what? We're going to keep the car a little bit longer. Millennials are being more conservative in their approach on spending money where they want to spend their money at. So it's changed a lot of, I would say, how we are now living is based on how we were raised, right? And that materialistic time, I don't believe the millennials have. We're not materialistic.
Yeah, and don't you think that you guys saw more than half of our marriages ended in divorce, and the very experience you had, and you're like, nah, don't sign me up for that.
Yeah,
it's not worth it to worship at the altar of materialism and financial success. It's not worth it. So
yeah, you get married in a church, huge church, you buy the big house, you do everything, and then you're divorced, splitting all those payments, 5-6 years later.
And one thing I've learned about you is you do work very hard, but you work very differently than boomers work. And that's something you taught me that I really appreciate. There's not this huge dividing line where I'm going to go to work. You kind of allow that to be a fluid part of your life. And like we just said at the beginning of this broadcast, the whole coronavirus has just exploded that across millions and millions of companies all over the world now.
Yeah, 100%. So Let me, where are we at on this? So let me
I
read.
think we need to hop over to the rules of engagement.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was going to say, let's jump over to rules of engagement. I think that a lot of times when we look at millennials and boomers being workaholics too, working hard comes first because it was our priority, right? That's what it was. It was our priority. And Han says, I work hard. And as I say, I work smart over hard. I think smart work over hard work because we're using our brain, right?
Right.
Smart work. So, I mean, I work a little bit differently, but I do agree. I still work just as many hours as anybody else does in the day as well. So,
Yeah, and more people are realizing it's about productivity and results, not about punching a clock in the hours.
yep, exactly. Attendance versus productivity is huge to everyone. So,
So at the so at the end of every chapter, I think I've got the first one, you've got the second one. At the end of every chapter, we have rules of engagement, some just practical illustrations of how you can apply these principles. So the first one is RESPECT. Make a choice to get along with each other. If you're reading this book as a boomer, you have a choice to make. You can fight the millennials and keep putting them down, or you can try to work with them and cultivate your relationships. And that's our mantra, isn't it? RESPECT. Boomers have to learn to respect Gen Xers and millennials at the workplace, and millennials have to learn to respect the good in baby boomers.
correct. And then also, I'm going to say if you're a boomer, pave the way for millennials, like Hans is doing for myself. I mean, Hans is a very good mentor to me at sometimes, and I'm a good mentor to him, but he is paving the way for millennials. He's paving the way for the Gen Zs. And that's what I would say. So if you're the next generation coming up, pave the way for the next generation, right? As Hans says, condemn or collaborate, but realistically, we're here to collaborate.
Absolutely. Oh, you were going to mention the movie, The Intern. That was the second rule of engagement there.
Yeah, so The Intern. If you haven't seen The Intern with Anne Hathaway and who's the Robert De Niro, with Robert De Niro as well, the millennial CEO brings on the baby boomer who's retired consultant, and they learn to teach each other things that they never thought. They open up each other's minds in a different level that started out negatively and then turned into respect. They both found a way to respect each other,
Directions.
right, in life. And if you watch the movie, he picks her up as a chauffeur one time in life, helps her with life, and then thrives together in work, knowing her and understanding her.
A tremendous exercise for you to do with your team is watch the movie and then have a Zoom call or a meeting when we get back to meetings and discuss what you learned. That is such a powerful movie.
For sure. So if you want to get the book, Hans, we're going to show the clip to get the book again. We would like you to join us and get the book. You can find it at bit.ly/millboom. And then the coupon code is Millennial Boom Free. So we thank you again for attending our session. And we want to make sure that anything you need, shoot us a question, shoot us a comment, let us know what you're thinking. And we have something special coming to you at the end of this segment on April 15th. And it's not just going to have Hans and I. So I suggest that you follow along because we're going to have some cool things going on next week and by April 15th.
And also, we just want to say, if you like the book and you got it for free, if you could help create a little buzz on social media about it, that would be our way, your way of saying thank you for the free gift and the free training, right, Patrick?
Of course. And again, if you missed this, we are going to be publishing these on our YouTube channels, Hans Finzel and then Millennial Boom. So we posted already the first 3 intro and the intro for the free book that gives the code, the intro of the book, and then blast from the past. So today we will get done as soon as possible. And we will upload episode 3, Help, I'm a Workaholic. And we appreciate every one of you out there watching, and stay safe during this time.
Bye-bye. See you Monday.